The Greater Interstellar Humanity, First Part. Hello again. Thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. I am Marie. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. I know that I've been saying this over and over again in countless of my videos, but I believe it is so important that I felt the need to make a whole video dedicated to explaining this subject in detail, together with some thoughts and points of view that go with it. To the point. Yes, there is more humanity out in space, with your exact genetics in most cases, and not in others, a lot more humanity. I am well and perfectly aware that by stating this I am going against the entire establishment, including its UFO and extraterrestrial experts, and even against New Age gurus, most of which are under a 3-letter agency payroll, by the way, as pushing cabal-controlled concepts helps mind and perception control the hundreds of thousands of starseeds that are entering Earth and its matrix realm, precisely to work against all the falsehood and cruelty there. With this, hijacking their spiritual work and life mission, in favor of them inadvertently pushing cabal-altered versions of the greater stellar community, as well as its spiritual and ethical concepts, which end up connecting perfectly with the establishment's main religions and their cosmology, which is designed to control and diminish the creative and sentient power of the human population. This is a subject where I can easily say that you won't find this kind of information anywhere else, among countless others, of course. For us here it is very easy to see and understand that imposing and keeping the idea that humanity is indigenous to Earth is of primordial importance for keeping the integrity of its matrix, because if they accept that there is more humanity outside Earth, then humankind would automatically expand their minds, also wanting to break free from their controllers. Keeping humanity in a state of constant fear is necessary to keep them all under control, and this connects to all those modern and not so modern agendas they are imposing nowadays, all of which go along the lines that humanity is destroying planet Earth. Although the highly controlled human population has no say about anything, nevertheless they are constantly blamed for everything that is happening on Earth, especially for the destruction of nature, along with the infamous weather alteration. I changed the words there, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Everything bad that goes on there is blamed on the human population, for being needy and over-consuming of resources, or for having bad ethics, when in fact they are all being vastly controlled by the ones in power and of the cabal, who are the ones who are truly imposing the agendas and the concepts which end up hurting the planet. Humanity would be much friendlier with nature if the cabal would make available efficient alternate technology, which already exists. They are all being forced to be aggressive against nature only because humanity is always kept in a pure survival state, where either they go against the planet or they die of starvation. When this situation is completely unnecessary, with today's means already found on Earth, but kept locked away from the population, who later is blamed for being destructive. This is, needless to say, unethical and cruel. But the real reason behind all this, and stated by the very Galactic Federation, is to create an extremely difficult existential realm, where souls can go there to experience hardship and suffering, expecting that with this they will achieve a greater soul expansion of consciousness and awareness, once they have passed on. This concept alone brings a lot of ethical questions, contradictions, and problems we've talked about before. But coming back to today's subject, all this I just mentioned is just an example of why humanity must be kept thinking that they are indigenous to Earth and that there isn't any more as such outside Earth, and making things even worse, Humanity is kept even more confused with three-letter agency-sponsored agendas like the squashed globe, that end up being used to destroy the very concept of planet, therefore the existence of other planets, and consequently the existence of extraterrestrials. Then they come up with yet another theory, that UFOs, and everything related to them, are interdimensional, and not extraterrestrial, when there is no reason why they cannot be, both. The New Age movement and its countless variants have been showing the people of Earth innumerable images of what they call humanoid extraterrestrials, including many of which look exactly like Earth humans, yet, they never openly state that they are the same species, always hinting to the idea that they are not. Removing the obvious, that is, if looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it cannot be a squirrel. So here my group comes along, and Mari Swaruu, openly telling you that humanity, exactly as you are, exists on countless other planets, all over the universe. This means that all the religious creationist texts and their cosmology would be false. This also means that Darwinism and the theory of evolution would not be truthful either, all of which would only be relegated to more mind control mechanisms to force the human population to think that they are alone in the universe, for population control purposes. And even though lately extraterrestrials are slowly starting to be accepted as something real, the controllers still strongly push the notion that they must be very different from humanity, having evolved, in a very different environment, on another planet which can only exist within a so-called golden zone, which is the correct distance from its sun. Not too close for it to be too hot, not too far for it to be too cold, or so they say, because that goes against their own teachings, which state that heat cannot be transferred in a vacuum, such as space, according to them, of course. Other factors are the ones which truly determine if a planet is inhabitable or not, where distance to its sun is not really an issue, leaving that element only as a means to determine how much radiation each planet is receiving, radiation, not heat. If humans are all over space, then other creationist documents, some of which are very ancient, such as the Sumerian tablets, but not only, all of which introduce another set of ideas about the origin of humankind, where they state that it was created through artificial genetic modification, among other things, reducing its lifespan to about 10% of their life expectancy outside Earth, and reducing its intelligence among other lesser things. Countless researchers take the Sumerian tablets, and other similar ones, or texts such as the ones found in Mesoamerica which state similar things, as if they were the absolute truth about the origins of humankind, simply because they go against what modern religions dictate, with their extremely basic, almost kindergarten-level cosmology which cannot withstand the lightest scrutiny. Including the latest dogmatic religion, perhaps the worst of all, modern science, which is structured in a more convincing, or compelling way to appeal to the most intelligent of humans, yet does not withstand direct scrutiny either, as it has become completely dogmatic, where the powers that be erase from existence any person, scientist or not, who comes up with proof that what they impose as a scientific fact is flat out wrong. They take those old documents, be them in stone or papyrus, as proof that that is the true origin of humanity, also because they are structured far better and with more logic than their present religious counterparts, but they are unaware that all those documents are nothing other than more mind control, false cosmology documents, aimed at the same thing as all modern religions, and that is to control and subjugate the human population. Those documents, especially those which are books or papyrus, escaped being destroyed systematically by the powers that be, during their countless efforts to erase the true past of humankind and planet Earth. According to my data, there have been no less than 6 great planetary resets, where entire planet-wide advanced civilizations have been erased from existence, where any of their remains are then stated to have been manufactured by pre-industrial civilizations who used primitive Bronze Age tools, which are obviously incapable of constructing such monumentally large edifices. Those cosmological and origin of humanity texts and documents, which survive up to today, are nothing other than the religious texts of that era, of those destroyed civilizations, and were imposed onto their people, for the same reason modern religions and today's science on Earth has been onto the human population, and that is for having control over the masses. They are nothing other than more Bibles. Furthermore, bits and pieces of those older documents have found their way into today's religious texts, with it, self-validating what they state, because if it is found in countless old texts with various origins, then what they state must have been based on true events. The best example of this are the numerous accounts of global floods which exist in several cultures around the planet. We know that today's biblical texts are based on older ones, for example, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we also know that the Romans back then had the convenient habit of incorporating the belief systems of the cultures they invaded, this as a means for population control, and to reduce the probability of those cultures rebelling against them. The structure of the biblical texts of both the Old and the New Testament reflect precisely this, the enmeshment and the assimilation of ideas, sagas, cosmology and stories, of the people the Romans conquered, and the Romans are no other than the Cabal itself. In other words, if it is old and goes against what is officially stated, does not mean it is veridic or truthful. They turn out to be only another set of documents placed there to mind control the human population onto submission. From where I stand, this is blatantly obvious, because I can see, and I can interact with several civilizations of people who are exactly like Earth humans, and some examples of those are the Antarian people, the Centauri, the Engan, the Taygetan, and the Maya, among countless others. Do I have proof of this? No, I do not, because the whole structure of the matrix on Earth is set in place so there can never be any proof of things such as these, and I don't need any proof, as I am not seeking to convince anyone. I know I can't, so all I am doing is sharing and offering my point of view, masquerading it as simple science fiction, hoping it can be of help to expand the consciousness, cosmology, and general understanding of all of you out there. This subject will continue as there is a lot more to say. This will be all for today. As always, thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love, your non-human friend, Mari Swaruu.